Yeah, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
We can open up and see who all's coming in as they're coming in, which is kind of fun. There's Jim Davis. He's getting to be a regular. We always have Jim Davis here. Hi, Jim Davis. He runs DocuSeek, and he's a cool guy.
Oh,
Jeff Pearson, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Michigan. Traveled all the way here from Michigan to be with us today. KATHLEEN McClellan, Alexander Street. Oh, let's see who else is coming in the door. Melinda Gallo, Films on Demand, Info Base. What's the big guy here? Gosh, look at those.
wow, there are many people.
Yeah, we got a lot of people. Hi, Jeff.
I don't know any
Okay.
of them.
Well, you will before the hour's over. We'll all be introduced. This is great. I'm glad you could all show up today. I'm going to let it. I'm going to wait just a couple more minutes before we really get formally going here. So just
Okay.
get relaxed and grab a beverage, and we'll get started here in just a second. All right. Looks like the flow is slowing just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and start introducing here because time is precious. So anyway, I'm Jeff Tamblin. I'm the executive director of Video Trust. I'm really glad you could all make it today. Welcome to our webinar. This is the second follow-up session of the academic library's responses to the pandemic. And we've had some really interesting discussions. We're hoping to have another one today. This is, kind of a town hall thing where everybody will get a chance to pipe up if you so wish. We can put you on the microphone. You're welcome to chat in your questions or put them on the Q&A. Video Trust is a nonprofit organization that advocates for libraries and film. We provide professional development and film resources for K through 12, public and academic librarians. You can learn more. You can sign up for our monthly newsletter at videotrust.org. So, just by way of introduction, as you all well know, a lot has happened since the beginning of March, which is when colleges and universities began shutting down, and most institutions continue to provide access and resources by relying heavily on the community of librarians with knowledge of video and streaming. So likely you all have been extremely busy. So thanks for making time for us today. And we're here to share experiences in the hope of improving services, procedures, not just for isolation, but maybe because we're going to learn something from this emergency that is going to help in everyday work. The panelists today are Amanda Riegel from Muhlenberg College and Yuri Kolodney from another small school, University of Texas in Austin, just a homey little place down there. Both schools are members of ALVT, by the way, which is our project that involves an online repository for VHS films, no longer in distribution. More information on the website. We're going to talk for a few minutes about what's going on at UT and Muhlenberg. And then we're going to open up the floor for attendees to share as well, ask questions. So don't hesitate to raise your hand, post a question or a comment. This is more interesting as you participate, and we're happy to have you do it. Today's webinar will be recorded. Let me repeat that because a lot of people always ask me if it's going to be recorded, and it always is. We only had one time where we missed, but it will be recorded and available in about 24 hours on our site at videotrust.org. So you'll be able to find it there. And we usually post the chat file as well. So we can, if anything, that if people share links or whatever. So I'll probably do a little break in the middle of the program here so we can talk a little bit more about stuff. But meanwhile, we're here with Yuri and Amanda. Amanda, why don't we start with you? You're at Muhlenberg College in Pennsylvania. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your library and your school, and maybe you can kind of talk to us about what's happened in the pandemic, but if if it would be useful, go ahead and take a minute too to tell us what life is kind of normally like for you guys.
Right, hi, thank you for having me today. I'm Amanda Riegel. I'm the Academic Course Reserve Supervisor at Trexler Library. We are part of Muhlenberg College, which is a small private liberal arts institution in Allentown, PA. We have a staff of 17 who keep the building open 7 days a week, about 105 hours total. When COVID-19 hit our state, things happened pretty fast. We actually had hosted a panel about the topic, and then the students were sent home only a few days later. The library closed shortly after that, and everyone's been working home since. We have maybe one person going in each day to check on things, but that's it. So right now we're just trying to, sorry, go ahead.
How big is your school? How many people normally?
Oh gosh, approximately, let's say about 2,000 students.
Okay.
Maybe a few hundred more, give or take. I haven't checked the numbers lately.
And have you, just since we're on the topic of numbers, how's the enrollment looking for fall?
Enrollment for fall seems to be pretty much on track, actually.
Okay. That's really interesting. Are all of your people kind of local, or do you have a lot of people from out of town?
It honestly depends. We do have a good amount of local students. We do have some from neighboring states. We have been also recruiting from other parts of the country. So it's becoming more of a mix as time has gone on.
Talk to us a little bit about what the big challenges are going into the fall for you.
Well, for us right now, one of the biggest challenges that we're facing is trying to figure out how to configure our employee seating arrangements, especially the ones near service desks. For the fall semester, the college is asking us to have no more than 50% of staff in the building at any given time. And they would honestly like us to keep it below that, maybe 25% to under 50. And complying with that while staffing different areas of the library and making sure that staff have access to their equipment while in tight quarters is rather tricky. Yeah. We have an open floor plan building, so staff desks are generally together, not in separate offices, and usually close to a service desk.
Now you mentioned in a couple of emails that we exchanged there that you had actually quite a bit of progress to report though for fall.
Yes, we have a lot of policies that are still being worked on. We have some policies that I would say about are halfway there, and a few things that are actually very firmed up that I can actually talk about. The most concrete plan that I think would be of interest to the audience is our course reserves policy for the fall. So I'll just kind of give an overview. Our course reserve services normally include print and electronic reserves, but this fall, we will be excluding print reserves except on very limited exceptions. And we will also be asking for faculty to submit the request earlier than normal to allow for increased processing time. And this is basically necessary to allow us ample time for researching streaming options and for digitizing media if we feel that it will be necessary.
What's the streaming picture look like at your school?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that last part.
I said, just as an overview, what's the streaming picture look like there?
Well, we have a rather robust film studies department, so we are getting increasing amounts of streaming requests as time has gone on. And you can imagine for this fall semester, we have more departments who do not normally look for streaming, asking for streaming options. So we do partner with Swank and with Canopy Videos. And we are very fortunate in that the vast majority of what our faculty have been asking for are available through those services. However, for the fall semester, we're going to be doing a slightly different plan of action for things that we would not be able to find on either of those streaming services. We did have a discussion with our college's attorney about copyright, and we settled on a plan of action relying on the Teach Act and fair use. So what we're planning to do is inform our faculty that based on our interpretation of these, we will be making temporary digital copies of documentaries and educational programs and of any feature films that do not have streaming rights available.
Okay.
Now, what we're doing is we are going to be temporarily, and I stress this, temporarily uploading them into our learning management system called Canvas. This is password protected. It is locked down to only the students in the class. And this is something we're only doing if we have exhausted every option available. So at the end of the semester, everything comes down. I should also mention that we are making sure that if we digitize something, we do own a legal copy, or if we don't, we will immediately purchase a legal copy.
I've got a question here from Lane. Is it Filstrom? Am I saying that right? I hope I am. I hope I'm not murdering your name. But it's what are the criteria for your exceptions for physical reserves?
To be perfectly honest, we're going to take these on a case-by-case basis. So I unfortunately don't have an answer for that just yet. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Yuri, let's talk to you for a minute about what's going on at UT. I was kidding before, obviously, about the size of the place. It's gigantic. And what's going on with your part of the library? Oh, yeah, and you're muted, buddy.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's right.
We have around 50,000 students, and we have around 12 branch libraries, besides the main library where I work in. So it's a pretty big operation. You know, the same as everyone. We left campus on March 13 and we never came back. Just yesterday, I had the opportunity to get to my office for 30 minutes and I had to reserve a spot online for that, to grab a monitor and other stuff. And it seems like we won't be back to campus for a long time. I mean, the staff, or part of the staff. And like Amanda said, we were told that in the fall, they want to keep 25% capacity in the building. That means that everybody who can work from home will stay home. So I don't think I'll see my office again, maybe until January or maybe even later.
Wow.
And in the fall, we are probably going to move to what we call phase 2, which means that we will have some stuff in the building. We will have services in the building, but not, of course, full services. We're going to enhance our electronic resources, which we do all the time, actually, this time around. And of course, stream electronic reserves. And the challenges, you know, the challenges are challenges like everybody else. We have workflow challenges, budgetary challenges, you know, fair use and teach compliance challenges. We also do, like Amanda mentioned, I think one of the things that we were forced to do or forced to think about because of the pandemic is our policy regarding reformatting of DVDs, which, you know, Amanda mentioned as well. So we have a workflow for that, and we are lucky enough that we are able to do that.
Maybe talk to us just a little bit too, since your library is so big and you have so many people working there. What is your job like? I mean, what are your duties normally? What are the things you're?
Well, officially, I have two hats. I'm the Hebrew, Jewish, and Israel Studies librarian. I manage the Jewish and Hebrew collection, and I'm also a film and video librarian. So it's supposed to be 50-50, but it's more like 95% streaming and 5% Jewish studies. And especially now because of since March, I mean, in the last couple of years, actually. I manage the way it works with us here. We have a general film fund, which I manage, which is a film fund for all subject areas across all campus. And we have subject areas funds for other geographic areas, let's say Middle Eastern studies, South Asian studies, and so on, European studies, Slavic studies. And then most of so what I do is actually I fill in all the requests for streaming or AV materials in general. And this is a very, very big part of my job. I negotiate with vendors, negotiate with faculty. I make sure that we get licensing, that we do what we need to do. Requests are just pouring in the last 4, 5, 6 months.
How many film requests off the top of your head would you say you've received? Just off the
I
top.
think in the spring, let's say until our spring semester ended May 31st, I think I got around 600. Okay. This summer I already got almost 400 requests. And these are unique, titles basically. Yeah. It's a lot of work, some of the requests, of course, we already have, we own, but people just don't know, they didn't discover it on the catalog. And many of them are just, I need to work on and find the right distributor or the right license.
Okay. Well, obviously you've got a lot. I'm curious to know, if you're reformatting DVDs, are you doing that at home? Are you having to do that in your house?
Not at my home. Well, the thing is that we were lucky enough that on March 13, when we left the building, one of my colleagues, who is the head of our digitization team, she was clever enough to grab the equipment and take it to her house.
Yeah.
And since then, so we have the capability to do it. She does it at her house.
Okay.
If we need to. And we have basically the same as Amanda said, we have a pretty strict policy about it. Of course, we do whatever we can to get a license. And my approach is always, I want to pay someone. I do want to pay. I do want to give you more money for a license. But if I can't, or I can't find anyone, and I can't find any educational license, or if no commercial copy is available, which means that if there is a commercial copy, like on Netflix or Prime or Hulu or whatever, or Vimeo, I point the students to that platform. And we're not going to reformat a film which is available commercially. And of course, it needs to be owned. It needs to be legally purchased by the library. We don't reformat personal copies of faculty. We do it, again, as Amanda mentioned, through an LMS. We also have Canvas. It's not discoverable. There is no record on the public online catalog, and it's for a limited time. We do it anywhere from 1 week to a full semester, and then it's down.
Okay.
And we really have a very few of these. And again, before the pandemic, we didn't even do that. But the pandemic kind of, pushed us to rethink it. And I can tell you that from the 400 titles that I have for summer that I already got, we are going to probably reformat around 12. So it's around 3% of the, right now, of the body of requests we have.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's an extreme situation. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. I put a couple of people on screen so they can ask their questions. Is it Swime? Have I pronounced that correctly? Would you like to go ahead and ask Amanda that question you chatted in?
Hi, Amanda. I'm also the course research supervisor for the University at Buffalo. So we are same situation. We are not doing any physical circulation of our print material. We don't have a plan for our reserve for multimedia yet. So from what you described, it seems like your library is doing a controlled digital landing on your multimedia reserve. So I'm interested to know, like, what is the workflow? How do you land it?
The workflow.
Okay, so the workflow. As of right now, what we're doing is asking faculty to submit all of their streaming and video requests through an online form. Those requests then come into me. We have a acquisitions manager who partners with me in looking for different streaming options. So if she's unable to find anything, if I'm unable to find anything, she lets me know. And at that point, that's when I start looking for a physical copy. Do we have a physical copy? If we don't, where can I find one? And then my responsibility is to then submit that in for purchasing, receive it, do the digitization. Does that answer your question?
Just after you digitalize it, like how do you deliver to the faculty? Like,
Oh, okay.
are you posting it on your website so they can stream it, or?
What I'll do is I will go into Canvas, because I have a, what's the term for it? I have administrative privileges, so I am able to upload these into Canvas. I am able to give privileges over those videos that I upload to the faculty members who request it. So then they're able to add these videos into any of their course shells that they choose. We're also able to add in links to videos that we already have access to through different vendors. We work with Alexander Street, so we do have some streaming videos that we get as part of packages, and we can post links directly to the catalog for that. And then we just inform the faculty that they're ready to go. And we try to streamline the process as best we can. I'm sure that there are ways that we could maybe improve on it that I haven't thought of yet.
Thank you. Answer my question.
Okay, great. We also have with us Chris Shope from Dreamscape at part of Midwest Tape. Chris, how you doing?
I'm good, Jeff, and how are you?
Good, thank you.
Thanks for putting this on.
Well, I'm just happy to help out. I thought it would be really interesting to hear a little bit. You had a question about budgets, but I also want to know if you would like to talk a little bit about what's going on at Dreamscape and Midwest Tape, and kind of fill us in a little bit on that stuff.
Absolutely. No, I'd be happy to share. And as the sales and business development manager at Dreamscape, I love talking about what we do. So, but I'll keep it light.
Yeah. Okay.
So obviously, it's been a very unique challenge lately with COVID and everything. And Midwest Tape was briefly not shipping any product. And for those who may not know, Midwest Tape does physical media to libraries. And Hoopla Digital is our digital platform, which does digital media to libraries. And then Dreamscape, we're the publishing arm. So we publish audiobooks as well as videos, both physically and digitally. And we offer streaming rights and public performance, et cetera. We have a few university library customers, I will say, but for the most part, we've focused on public libraries up to this point. and I've been wanting to expand in that direction. And Swank is someone I've been talking to a lot lately, as well as others. But you know, on the physical side of the business, orders disappeared to a very large extent for a little while, and it's been kind of a challenge. But on the digital side, actually, with Hoopla, the number of new patron signups tripled basically overnight. And then libraries started, public libraries just started shifting their budgets in that direction to help address that need.
And Hoopla is mostly public libraries, or are they in academic libraries?
It is entirely public libraries, yes.
All right.
Yes. But and so, Video Trust, formerly National Media Market, as everyone knows, is more of a, for me, over time, it's been more thought of as like kind of an expansion area, because I know that the business and a lot of the connections and the valuable connections that the organization makes is more on the educational library side. So I've definitely enjoyed the networking and the friends I've been able to make over the years working and being at Video Trust conferences and webinars, et cetera. But my question, if I may, coming from the supplier side, is have budget cuts been forthcoming at this point yet for the libraries, or if not, are they expected soon?
I can respond to that. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, do you hear me? I'm sorry. It's I still need to get used to it after all this time. Yes, budget cuts are coming. On my campus, we were told that they will be coming. We don't know. We don't have any figures, but I'm sure they will. One thing I wanted to mention about DVDs, I think one of the reasons that the DVDs the sale is dropping. In my campus, for example, I don't purchase these DVDs anymore because technically we can't receive them. I mean, we were told that we're not supposed to send packages to the building because nobody can open the packages and nobody can check the content against the invoice, and nobody can pay those invoices. So it's a pretty at least on my campus, it's a pretty technical reason that we don't buy analog materials or printed materials or DVDs because nobody can get the packages. And again, as far as budget, I think yes, I'm sure that there will be cuts, but nobody told us exactly any what will be the percentage and so on.
How about you, Amanda? What's happening there?
We've been told that budget cuts are likely, but not when or how much.
You said your enrollment hadn't dropped. Is that going to be the major determiner, or are there other factors there, if you know?
I think it's likely that enrollment will influence it, but I don't want to say for certain.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, let's open up the floor. Let's get some other people in on the conversation here and find out what's going on at some other libraries around the country. It's we're about halfway through. Actually, think about what you want to say, if you would, for just a minute. I want to take a break for just a moment here and mention that we have another webinar coming up next week, July 23rd. It's called Industry Insider, How Film Distribution Works. This is going to be part one of what I hope will be a couple of 3 sessions on distribution. Next week, we're going to talk almost exclusively about acquisitions, because that's something that I know a lot of people have questions about from the customer side, like how do you pick a film and how do you decide what you're going to do with it. We have 2 really interesting panelists. We have Elizabeth Sheldon from Juno Films. She's got a long history in this business. She and I used to work together back at Kino Lorber. And we also have Will Whalen from Alexander Street, ProQuest Alexander Street. I don't know which comes first, but same company. So if you want to register for that, you can do so at videotrust.org. You'll find a link there to register. And while you're there, you can sign up for our newsletter and keep up with everything we're doing. a lot more programming coming up this fall. And if you like we are recording today. It'll be available probably by tomorrow. And if you like today's webinar, you can tell all your colleagues in the library world. I would love that if you would help. How's everybody doing? Do you want me to just sort of call on people at random here and drag you into the conversation? Because I really want to know if everybody is sort of up in the air right now. I'm gonna holler at Jeffrey Pearson because I know Jeff a little bit from the markets. And
Hey, everyone.
hey, talk to us a little bit. Michigan's a big place too. Are you guys going through a lot of? You've had a lot of sort of civil unrest going on up there, as many places have, and I know that's had an impact. But also, I mean, what else is going on up there that you want to share about the way things are going at the library?
Well, the university is opening to actual students being on campus for the fall. And it's, as you can imagine, it's going to be either still partially online or completely online or a hybrid. I think there will not be any large lecture gatherings, obviously. And I think where they can do remote still, that is the plan.
Yeah.
The library is still largely closed to staff. There is a phased reopening going on with the library now, with some staff working with receiving and circulation, special collections. The library is actually defined about 6 sections or portions of this phased reopening. Though we've been told basically that if we can work remotely, that continue to expect to do that in the fall term.
Okay.
And so I can largely do that. I haven't been back to work at all since mid-March. I do want to get back into the library because like other institutions, I'm going to be digitizing some things that I simply cannot get streaming for, licensing for. And so I need to get into the collection.
Yeah.
But that's, at this point, it's not open at all. The collections are still closed. I guess there are plans to start collection or circulation pickups before fall, and to have it fully functional before fall so patrons can get a hold of print materials. But it's there's a lot of attention being given to how to let people back into the building. Again, we're going to be having a very controlled number of people in the buildings. Temperature taken, questionnaire when we walk in. We'll be handed, staff will be handed a little kit of kind of a low touch little hand thing so you can press elevator keys and things like that.
Yeah.
Masks, sanitizing things. And so there's a lot of thought going into this. And like the others, I have been receiving many more streaming requests than I'm used to, particularly in spring and summer. And I'm already getting quite a few streaming requests for fall.
And when you say quite a few, give me a rough number.
Oh, I'd say for fall, I've already received maybe requests for 200 to 300 titles.
Okay.
And this is mid-July, so that's pretty unusual.
What would you normally be looking at by this time of year?
For fall, next to nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Most instructors don't let you know what they need until the week before or into the term, of course. So, but a lot of them are working in advance because they know they're going to have to teach remotely. So And if anything, I've been as busy as I was sitting at my desk in the library. So
Yeah.
It's been interesting.
Wow. Okay. Well, so you get to get out of the house.
Right. Right.
I'm sort of envious there. I want to call on Kathleen McClellan because you texted a question there a minute ago. And how you doing?
Great. How are you, Jeff?
You know, as you see, I'm alive. I'm
It's all good. It's all
life
good.
is chasing around inside of me like a squirrel. Is line from hey, you had a really good question about, let me see if I can find that a minute ago because it was right up here. You want to know what everyone's biggest concerns are. And I guess, you know, that made me think, what are you're part of one of the big kids on the block there at ProQuest, Alexander Street. What are your big concerns going into the fall before we ask your question of the others?
Oh, turn that around on me. I see how that goes. You know, it's just making sure that we can be there to support you guys and have, you know, the content that you need ready to go. So, you know, we're here ready to help you guys with all of these, hearing all these numbers of requests. Please understand that we're here to help and provide any kind of support or help in finding content that you need.
Yeah, you guys have been, you know, pretty much doing streaming almost exclusively now for quite a while, right? So how has this pandemic changed your business?
You know, luckily, and if you want to open up the line to Sarah Brennan too, you can do that because I'm sure she'll have a much better answer than I do. But, you know, the fact that we were kind of ahead of the game, as you mentioned, and we were ready for you guys when everybody had to make the shift. It was a really nice place to be, that we had a solution that was ready to go. We had LTI capability. We had, you know, clip making and just online streaming access for everybody the minute they needed to make the move. And if you already had us, it was just our free media hosting service was also another thing that was just an amazing way for us to help you guys. So at least that's from my end, Sarah. You may have some other ideas there too, but that's where it's been really amazing to partner with y'all.
Sarah, has anything changed since like March?
Hey everyone, yeah, this is Sarah. Just to echo the things that Uri and Jeff were saying, we've also seen an increase in demand just like you have. And so yeah, like Kathleen mentioned, that our goal is always to meet whatever your needs are. So eager to hear, you know, if there was one or two things that a big streaming vendor could do to help, we'd love to hear what those are, or what your biggest concerns are going into the fall that, you know, how can we help support what you'll need.
Yeah, especially with all the uncertainty. I know you guys are having to be very flexible and change on a dime. So any way we could help.
The question on the floor, I'm hi Rhonda Rosen, the little red-haired girl from Peanuts. How are you doing?
Thanks a lot. Oh my gosh. Hi.
The question on the floor going around is what are your biggest concerns for the fall? We may have hit those notes for a lot of people, but if let's start with Uri. I mean, do you have anything to add to what you've already said to address that question? And by the way, I'm gonna mention Rhonda's question that she posted a minute ago in Q&A. Well, go ahead, Rhonda. Now that you're on the line, what did you?
So
throw yours in there as well.
Thanks, Jeff. You're doing a great job. My question just was, do we think that the pandemic is really going to finally push physical copies of DVDs out of the industry? I find that, as Uri said, I mean, he's saying that he's not purchasing DVDs because there's nobody there to process it. And I certainly understand that concept. But I know that I have slowed down my buying of DVDs even before the pandemic, just because streaming is obviously getting more and more possible. And you know, people are using it more and wanting it more. And therefore, I'm putting in less DVDs, but I don't like doing that. But it just seems that the pandemic is really pushing it even further. So I just wondered how people are feeling about physical copy collections.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, sure. I can say, yes. I mean, I also didn't buy or didn't purchase too many DVDs even before the pandemic. But I think the majority of our collection, let's say we have around almost, I think, 19,000 DVDs in our collection. And most of them are not, I mean, these titles are not available in streaming. So I think one need to think about, you know, the collection, the curation of the collection. If you want to build a good store collection, you need to get it in any format you can get it in. So, and especially for international titles or, you know, things that are not published or released in the United States or in North America, let's say, that are simply not available to us in streaming. And maybe somebody will need them in 10 or 20 or 50 years from now. Hopefully the DVD could be played then, or maybe we will find another technology that, you know, we can replace the DVD. But I think it's important to invest also in DVDs right now. Even if people are not willing to use them, we should invest in them as much as we can, because this content is not available in any other way. Yeah.
How about you, Amanda?
I want to pretty much echo everything Udi said. Our film studies faculty do prefer physical copies, actually. They do like the flexibility with being able to show it in the building, in the classroom. They do also request a lot of foreign films, like Udi mentioned, and a lot of these simply aren't available for streaming. So if we don't get this in a DVD format, there's no way for us to get it. So I don't see us stopping physical purchases anytime soon, frankly.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm hearing a feedback there from somebody. If you're not talking, you might want to mute. Yeah, we've added a couple of other people on here, but Swime, are you still there? Do you want to talk about your biggest concern for fall? Still with us?
Actually, I think I'm on the same boat with everyone. Same thing, like a lot of, like we will purchase streaming first if we can ever find it. But the problem is there are so much title that is not available to purchase as streaming. So in this situation, because we can't really circulate the physical item, so we just need to digitalize it. So I just echo with everybody else. We are all in the same situation.
Okay, all right.
Just same thing too, like before, there will be only a couple faculty that will request for streaming, but since the pandemic, there are many, many more requests because a lot of academic titles are not available anywhere in the commercial platform. So there's no way they can like show it in the classroom. So
right.
It's something that we definitely need to work on during this time.
And I saw earlier you posted that SUNY across the board is 25%.
Yes, 25%.
Okay, and I think Farhad
it's 20%. It's not because it's not really related to the enrollment. We also have like a decreasing on enrollment, but also it's like a state-wise because we are like a state university. Yeah. So that is already 25% for the fall semester.
Oh, okay. All right. Rhonda, what's your big worry for the fall, your big concern?
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Can we come back to you?
Yeah, no, wait.
Okay.
Sorry, you caught me right in the middle of checking my email.
Okay.
I mean, I think I 100% agree with everything everybody has been saying, and I think we're all pretty much on the same boat. Just getting our faculty to remember to fill out the form to get to us so that we can get the digitizing when needed, or purchasing the license in a timely fashion.
Remind everybody where you work.
Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. We are a private university, Jesuit university. We've got about 9,000 students, so we're fairly small, middle range. You know, from us right now, we just got like a spreadsheet from our film school about what their, you know, needs are. And, you know, it's going to be how much of our budget is going to go towards them, and are they a priority over the rest of campus streaming needs? I think that to me right now is my immediate concern. And it isn't true, it is more a decision by our acquisitions department than it is for me, to be honest, but it's something that I think is our next discussion.
Okay. No, interesting. I put, is it Lane or Laney Tillstrom? And am I saying either of your names right? Am I doing?
Yeah, no, it's Lane. It's Lane, and Tillstrom, the H is silent. So you got it right. Yeah.
I did do Tillstrom right. So that's good.
Yeah, you did.
That's a win.
My campus is about 2,000 in central rural Maine. So we're kind of away from things right now.
What city?
But, Waterville.
Okay.
Waterville, small town in Maine.
Waterville.
A small city in Maine. Yeah. But of course, none of us knows what's going to happen by fall. The plan is to bring students back early, late August. And so we're planning for that. Not all the courses will be in person though. We will have some remote courses. So we're looking at a lot of streaming, but we are trying to be careful about budget. I don't have a budget yet, but it's important to remember that budget isn't just about the number of students coming back. And I think we have a pretty healthy number coming back. It's also about all the increased costs that this situation is causing institutions. There are a lot of costs to prepare a campus for social distancing, protective equipment, testing, and we're going to be doing testing of students twice a week.
Wow.
Follow-up, reducing student density in dorms, renting hotels for quarantine. I mean, all these costs are enormous. So it's not just about enrollment. Plus, we have to prepare for if the pandemic gets worse again, we may have to send everyone home, and then we lose those dorm feeds for the rest of the semester. So lots of unknowns, but we're trying to do as much streaming as we can. I'm having to say no on some things. Generally, we have a $125 limit, and it's not a hard limit, but anything that costs over $125, we look at very carefully. And we're going to have to make some hard choices, pretty much doing everything that everyone else is doing in that regard.
Okay. I put Melinda Gallo online here on the screen. How are you doing today, Melinda?
I'm good. How's everybody doing?
Good. You work with Infobase.
Yes.
Are you, I mean, I can never keep all the little organizational bits straight there at Infobase. Would you say, what's on your business card? Is it Infobase or Films Media Group or?
It has everything on it, basically. Okay. And we just acquired a new company as well, so we're expanding.
Oh, what's that?
We've just acquired the professional development and training portion of Who Done It, or Who Knew It. So that's something new that's coming out down the pike. We just had an email go out today with new information on that.
Is that like a historical thing or something?
It's more about professional development and to do training and things like that. So I can forward up a link for the email, but yeah, it's a brand new venture. We just acquired them a week ago, so it's all new.
What's changed in your business? You guys have, you're similar to
right.
A lot of the other big companies that do streaming, and you've been around for quite a while, and not you personally, but the company. And
I've been around for a while too. It's 34 years now.
Now step in it here. Tell me what's changed this year. Everybody's flexing differently, and I know it's been a stretch for everybody. What's going on with you guys?
We've had one of our busiest quarters in quite a while. I mean, we're seeing and feeling the, budget concerns of everybody. Some people are having to, make changes to add things. Others people are feeling those budget crunches and having to drop products. So, we're trying to work as best we can with everybody. We just did a online trial where we gave everybody free access to most of the streaming products and some of the databases from like late March through mid-June to try to get everybody through the end of the semesters to finish up with schools and stuff and libraries and everything. And, now we're kind of just in that waiting game to see what's going to happen for fall. Will schools reopen? What will the budget concerns look like? And, just trying to be there to help support our customers.
Wow. Are you anticipating a big change in volume of business going forward, or?
I mean, we're seeing it depends really on where. I mean, my territories are from North Dakota down to Louisiana, so I have some mid-range states, and it just depends on what part of the country I think you're looking at, because a lot of the different reps are seeing more cuts in budget than others, and we're just kind of trying to see where things go. It's hard to say at this point. It's changing every day, every hour.
Yeah. So much is changing, and so much is not. So much is unclear. I know a lot of people. I'm seeing, all the time, and I'm hearing from people as we continue this webinar series and other webinars that we've been doing, that a lot of people still are a little unsure about what the plans are for fall. And I've even heard some people say they're not sure if they're opening, which as you get into July, that's kind of a big question. I'm putting Christine Edwards on here because she's been posting about what's going on in Oklahoma, and I thought that was kind of interesting. How are you doing, Christine?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. You're in Oklahoma City?
Yeah, well, I'm part of that metro system. I'm actually in a suburb called Edmond.
Oh, okay. I think I know somebody who works at your school. So tell us a little bit about what's going on in Oklahoma.
Yeah, well, so we are I'm at the University of Central Oklahoma. We're the third largest university in the state. We have about 17,000 students. And our library is open. I happen to be at the library at this time. And we've opened the first 2 floors of the library. Students and staff are required to wear masks and are asked to stay 6 feet apart. But we're retrieving physical items for people if they need them. And we are still operating our interlibrary loan as much as can be done. So I feel like I'm in a very different situation from the majority of the people on this meeting right now.
Yeah, well, and your state was on the news pretty prominently, at least this morning, if not last night, because the governor, along with many other governors, I should say, has not mandated mask wearing, and says he doesn't anticipate doing that, I saw this morning. Are you getting a lot of pushback from students, faculty? I mean, what's happening with that mask order?
Yeah, so we do get a lot of pushback in the state. We are a very Republican state overall, and so the politics that have been brought into this pandemic, we really see that effect here. The very first time when we started coming out, we were one of the first states to start implementing the phasing opening. And many of you are probably aware that President Trump's first rally was in Tulsa, which is the second largest metropolis in our state. And so we do have a lot of people who follow the example of that leadership. And because we are a mostly rural state, traditionally farmers and country. We have a lot of people who very heavily are into their Second Amendment rights and that kind of stuff. So, when they tried the first time when they were opening up with phase 1 and phase 2 and said, we're going to mandate masks, we actually had people who walked into businesses refusing to wear a mask and threatening to beat people up and pull guns on them. So local governments decided that they would not mandate masks at that time. Now, with the rising cases that we've seen, and now that our governor actually has gotten the virus, he's contracted COVID and is in isolation right now. We see a lot of the local governments trying to implement that mandate again, saying that they will enforce it, and that businesses have the right to refuse to serve anyone who does not follow those rules. So we do see it stepping back up a little bit, but as far as the campus goes, we are planning to open in the fall. We have 4 different types of courses that students can choose from. We have the traditional face-to-face, which is limited to a certain number of students depending on the classroom size that they can get into with the social distancing. And then we have the extended classroom option for some of those classes, where it'll basically be a live feed of what's going on in the classroom to students who are at home. We have hybrid courses. It's just the traditional hybrid style. And then we have the fully online courses. And surprisingly enough, the online components have been the difficult classes to fill. Our face-to-face classes are pretty much full at this time.
Okay. Rhonda just mentioned that the governor of Oklahoma has tested positive, which I thought was interesting. I want to switch off. Somebody just asked an interesting question. Okay, and Yuri answered a little bit about TUG because somebody asked what happened to the TUG titles. Was it Cheryl? Yeah, Cheryl Neal asked, has anyone heard anything about where the indie doc film TUG EDU landed as another distributor purchased their titles? I put Jim Davis online. I don't know if you have any insights about this at all, but I know Julie Wong, who's on the Video Trust board, used to work at TUG, now works at DocuSeek. Jim, are you there? Are you with us? I was going to ask you if you know anything more about that, but are you there?
I would just ask Julie, email her. I can send her an email too, but I don't have any details on TUG myself.
Okay, all right, and Yuri, you had something to say about that.
Yeah, I was just, I put my answer in the chat that I know that some titles went to Collective Eye.
Okay.
And some to another one, which I forget right now, but I can check later and see. But yeah, so I think I had a few, actually, I still have a few that I didn't purchase perpetually, which is another good reason to go to get perpetual access if you can afford it. Exactly because of that example of that business going away. And some that we do have, like I purchased like 3 years or 1 year. I managed to get it from others, like Collective Eye. But the server is still running, by the way. They left the server running and we still have access through TUG. So, but I mean,
water on or something, isn't it?
I don't know. Maybe somebody left it in the room and went away. I don't know what's going on there. But I'm trying to get all the files, in my possession. So if they do turn it off, I won't, stay empty-handed.
Okay. And Kathleen says that Alexander Street picked up a few titles as well. So.
Yeah, you could just, we picked up the Third World Newsreel titles for sure, and a couple of other ones. So just email Sarah Brennan. I put the email address in the chat if you guys want to reach out for the titles.
Yeah, that was a awkward situation, but I'm glad it's getting taken care of. All right, well, we're about down to the end of the hour here. There's one more. All right, people are kind of clocking out. I just want to mention one more thing because I know everybody's got to move on to other stuff. But I just want to say thank you to everybody who participated today and all of you who were willing to share, especially our panelists, Yuri and Amanda. To all the attendees, if you think Video Trust is something you'd like to continue with, we're going to be offering memberships soon. Some of our webinar and our publishing things will be behind a paywall, but if your institution is already a member of ALVT, you get a free institutional membership to everything we're doing on Video Trust. So something worth checking out. There'll be more information coming on us very, very soon. So please go to videotrust.org, subscribe to the newsletter, and you will also find a collection of all of our webinar videos from this year, information on more coming on technology, copyright, resources for classroom and library, and more. Videotrust.org. Thank you all very, very much for being here today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks.